you don't think the internet can be a dark place, this story might change your mind. It's sick. It is heartbreaking. Teenage boy in South Florida used a web camera to broadcast his suicide online, live. Investigators say he even blogged about his intentions as an audience watched as this young man took his own life. Unbelievable. Joining us now, CNN's John Zarrella with the details. John, there are the basics. What happened here? What are the details?
Yeah, no question about it, Mike. Just absolutely a very tragic story. A Broward County teenager, 19 years old. This past Wednesday, he goes on a website and tells people he's going to go ahead and commit suicide. He tells them how he's going to do it by taking an overdose of antidepressant drugs. Then later on, he actually goes and he writes a suicide note. From there, he ultimately goes online and blogs and tells people, you can join me on another website. Go to this other streaming video website where you can actually watch me die. I've taken these pills. So this is on Wednesday morning about 3 a.m. When he actually lies down on a bed. You never actually see him take the pills, but he lies down on a bed and at some point he expires. And this video rolls for a good 8 to 10 hours before ultimately at about 3:30 Wednesday afternoon, police are finally called and they go to the house and they discover his body.
So what are these bloggers doing that are watching this unfold and having this ongoing conversation with this kid?
Yeah, the ongoing conversation goes on for hours where bloggers, apparently up to 1,500 people were watching this. And at first, they did not believe he'd actually done it because he apparently, from what we are told, he had in the past bragged or said that he was going to commit suicide. So they didn't really believe him at first. In fact, an investigator, Wendy Crane at the Broward Medical Examiner's Office, who watched or looked at and read through about 8 hours of this blog, says that early on, and some of the bloggers are writing things like, oh, that's not enough to kill you, or go ahead and do it. And that's early on. But then about 11 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning, these people who are still watching are going, you know, uh-oh, this guy's not moving. There's something wrong here. And by that point, they start to think, well, maybe we ought to call somebody. Ultimately, police are contacted and they finally get to it, but then it's 3:30 in the afternoon.
So could he have survived if one of those people watching would have stepped up and made a call?
You know what? I had an opportunity to interview Joshua Perper, who's the chief medical examiner over here in Broward County, who did the autopsy on the body and says, listen, there's no question, this definitely was a suicide. We checked his urine, and in his urine there's all of this antidepressants that they found. And he said to me, he said, you know, I asked him, I said, what would have happened if someone had called immediately?
Look, it's very clear that if somebody would have come immediately after he took the tablets, then probably not all the tablets would have been absorbed. Then therefore they could wash his stomach and get rid of the additional tablets. Certainly he would have had a much better chance.
So now we also had an opportunity, our producer Rich Phillips this afternoon managed to get through to Abraham's father, Abraham Biggs Sr., and he told us that in fact his son had perhaps tried to commit suicide in the past, and so but that he was doing well now. But his father told us, quote, it's a tragedy, and I'm appalled by the fact that he was crying out for help and people just watched and did nothing. I wish they would have given him the assistance that he was crying out for. They did not respond to him. They only did long after the fact. I'm sorry that no one could help him when I was not around to help him myself. But again, Mike, you know, it goes to the fact that apparently a lot of these people simply did not believe that he'd actually done it. But as you mentioned right off the top, the internet can be a very dark and very cruel place.
Yeah, especially when some of these folks are actually egging him on to do that. All right, disturbing story, but John, we appreciate the update on that. Thanks again.
My pleasure.